Hi, in this video I'm looking at proving that secant times sine over tan plus cotangent is sine squared. Now if you're asked to do something like this, it's easier if you look at the more complicated part and try and simplify it down to the easy bit than try to go the other way around. So let's have a look at this. So the first thing I'm thinking of doing, because we only have sine, is to get rid of the things like secant and tan and cotangent and get them into their forms that involve either sine or cos or something like that. So if I have a look at doing that, I know that secant of x is 1 over cos. I know that tan of x is sine over cos. And I know that cotangent is 1 over tan, which must mean that it's cos over sine. So I'm going to use these three pieces of information to be able to get rid of all my secants and tans and cotangents and get it into more sine and cos. Because if I can get more sines in there, I might be able to get my one sine and turn it into a sine squared, and hopefully all the cos's will cancel out. So let's do this replacement. So I'm going to have 1 over cos of x times sine of x over, well, our tan of x is being replaced with sine of x over cos of x, plus our cotangent, which is going to be replaced with cos of x over sine of x. So that's what I've got for now, and I'm going to call this my left-hand side. So we've got our left-hand side. It started off as being this annoying thing, and now I've turned it into this even more annoying thing, really, to be honest. But if we start looking at what I can do to simplify this, our left-hand side, our numerator, well, 1 over cos times sine is just going to be sine of x over cos of x. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's have a look at the denominator. So now with this denominator, it'd be good if I had one single fraction here instead of the sum of these two. So what I've got to do is I'm going to multiply the sine up. So that's going to give us sine squared of x plus multiply the cos up. So that way we get to have cos squared of x. And then we're going to have a new denominator for this part of our fraction to be cos times by sine. So we're going to have cos times by sine. So now looking at what I've got sine on cos, all on sine squared plus cos squared on cos times sine. So it doesn't look like yet I'm making much progress, but I have something here which is going to effectively cancel out for me because I've got cos squared plus sine squared. And the Pythagorean trigonometric identity says that cos squared plus sine squared equals 1. So I'm going to have this numerator here of this bottom fraction become 1. So I've got sine of x on cos of x all over 1 over our cos of x sine of x. So now I've got this, I've got to start looking about how I can simplify this even further. So looking at this, I've got this fraction divided by this fraction. So I'm going to write that out as two separate things. So that way it's going to be nice and easy for me. So I've got sine of x over cos of x. And that's all being divided by this 1 over cos of x sine of x. So if I divide these two fractions, that means I end up multiplying the reciprocal of the right-hand fraction. So I've got to have sine of x on cos of x, and that divides and change to times, and I'm going to multiply by cos of x sine of x all over 1. And so when I'm multiplying these fractions now, I've got cos being divided by cos basically, and sine being multiplied by sine. Let's write out the full. So I've got sine of x times cos of x sine of x all over cos of x times 1. So now I can see our cos of x is going to cancel, and I've got sine times sine. So that means that the left-hand side of our original equation that we had is going to be, well, if we look at this, sine times sine is sine squared of x, and I don't have a denominator other than 1 now. And that's our right-hand side we were trying to prove right at the beginning. We were after sine squared of x. So there we have it. To prove something, especially using trigonometric stuff, trigonometric functions, focus on the more complicated bit, separate it out, try and break it down into simpler things, especially get it into functions that have something to do with your answer, and play with whatever fraction math, trigonometric identities you can to get your answer.